meditation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry,
No, that's fine. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 10 Bhagavat is the answer of all questions. Text 1 Shri Shuk Uvacha Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Mutaye Manvantare Shanugatha Nirodho Muktirashaya.
Hare Krishna. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisional statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, subcreation, planetary system, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, the science of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and the summum bonum.
Text 2 Dasamasya Visuddhayartha Navanamihi Lakshanam Vanayanti Mahatmana Srutenarthena Jasa.
To isolate the translance of the summum bonum, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic inference, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanation given by the great sages.
Text 3 Bhuta Matrena Indrayatiyam Janma Sarga Udahata Brahmano Guna Vaisamya Disarga Purushosvata.
The elementary creation of the 16 items of matter, namely the 5 elements: fire, water, land, air, and sky, sound, form, taste, smell, touch, and the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and mind is known as Saraga, whereas subsequent resultant interaction of the modes of material nature is called Visarga.
Text 4 Kunta Vijaya Oshanam Tadanugrah Manvantarani Satarma Uttarya Karmavashana.
The right situation of the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction of life. The impetus for activities is desire for fruitive work.
Text 5 Autarano Charitam Harishchasya Nuvartinam Pushami Shaka Katha Rokta Nanyakhyano Prabhuhita.
The science of God describes the incarnation of the personality of Godhead and his different activities, together with the activities of his great devotees.
Text 6 Nirodhasyanushayana Atmana Saha Saktibi Mukti Hitvanyatha Rupam Swarupena Vavstitiha.
The merging of the living entities, along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of the Mahavishnu, is called winding up of the cosmic manifestation. Liberation is permanent situation of the form of the living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross, and subtle material bodies.
Text 7 Abhasya Nirodhasya Yato Tasya Vasiyate Sa Asraya Param Brahma Paramatma Medi Sabdate.
The Supreme One, who is celebrated as the Supreme Being or the Supreme Soul, is the supreme source of the cosmic manifestation, as well as its reservoir and winding up. Thus, he is the supreme fountainhead, the absolute truth.
Text 8 ओध्यात्मिको कोऽयं पुरुषः सो सावेवाधिदैविक यत्र तत्रोभयविच्छेद पुरुषोऽध्यात्मिक भौतिक.
The individual person possessing different instruments of senses is called the Adhyatmic person, and the individual controlling deity of the senses is called Adi Devik. The embodiment seeing on the eyeballs is called the Adi Bhautik person.
Next 9. एकमेकतराभावे यदा नोपलभ्रामहे त्रियं यत्रयो वेद स आत्मस्वाश्रयाश्रय.
All three of the above mentioned stages of the different living entities are interdependent. In the absence of one, another is not understood. But the Supreme Being, who sees every one of them as a shelter of the shelter, is independent of all, and therefore he is the supreme shelter.
Next 10. Purusodana vidya yada sosa vinigata atmano yamon vicha na pannok shakshi chasuchi suchi.
After separating the different universes, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, Mahavishnu, which came out of the causal ocean, the place of the appearance for the first Purusha Avtara, entered into each of the separate universes, desiring to lie on the created transcendental water, Garbhodayaka.
Text 11. Tasvavasita swashrustashu sahasra parivatsaran tena narayano nama yadapi purusottabhava.
That supreme person is not impersonal and therefore is distinctively a nar or a person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the supreme nar is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he is known as Narayana.
Text 12. Dravyam karma cha kalascha sabhavo jiva eva cha anugrahata santi na santi yadupekshaya.
One should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all exist by his mercy only. And as soon as he does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent.
Eko nanatva vichana yoga talpata samudrita virya haranyam devo maya yavya shujatrita.
The Lord, while lying on his bed of mystic slumber, generated the seminal symbol, golden in hue, through external energy out of his desire to manifest varieties of living entities from himself alone.
Text 14. Adhideva mathatya mathi bhuta miti prabhu atheka purusha virya trida britya tatshuna.
Just hear from me how the potency of his lordship divides one into three, called the controlling entities, the controlled entities, and the material bodies in the manner mentioned above.
Text 15. Anta sarir akasat purushasya vichetsata ojasaho bala jagne tata prano mahanasu.
From the sky, situated within the transcendental body of the manifesting Mahavishnu, sense energy, mental force, and bodily strength are all generated as well as the sum total of the fountainhead of the total living force.
Text 16. Anu prananti yama pranam prananta sarva jantushu apanantam pananti nara devamiva guna.
As the followers of a king follow their lord, similarly, when the total energy is in motion, all other living entities move. And when the total energy stops endowing, all other living entities stop sensual activities.
Text 17. Pranena sitta shrutta tundantara jayate vipo vipasato jakshataksha prandam mukham nirbitata.
The living force, being agitated by the Virat Purusha, generated hunger and thirst, and when he desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened.
Usha Mataji, please. Hare Krishna, Usha Mataji.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, Mataji. Please start.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
No,
Text
it's fine.
18. Text 18. Mukha tata talu nirbina jihva trayopajayate tato nana raso jagne jihayayo adhigamyate.
From the mouth, the palate became manifested, and thereupon the tongue was also generated. After this, all the different tastes came into existence so that the tongue can relish them.
Text 19. Vivaksha murkhato punno virhagavaga vyahatam tayo jale chaitasya suchiram nirodham samajayate.
When the Supreme desired to speak, speeches were vibrated from the mouth. Then the controlling deity fire was generated from the mouth. But when he was lying in the water, all these functions remained suspended.
Text 20. Nasi nirapitetya doduyati nabaswati tatra vayu gandharvaho drano nasiji drushata.
Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respiration were generated, the nasal instruments and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air, carrying smell, also became manifested.
Text 21. Yadatmani niraloka atmanam cha didukshata nirbhine yashani tasya jyotisha shunu guna graha. Hare Krishna. Sorry if I have made any mistakes.
Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating God Son, the power of vision, and the object of the sight all became manifested. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances and forgive me for my mistakes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Usha Mataji and Indira Mataji. Thank you so much for reciting beautifully in Sanskrit and English. Thank you. And I just want to pay my humble obeisances and to all the devotees who have gathered today. I'm not very senior, but I'm trying to learn Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita with the association of Vaishnavas and seniors. So please forgive me if I make any mistake, and please you can correct me also. Thank you so much. So we'll be reciting from and we'll be discussing Canto 2 of Bhagavatam, chapter 10, which is very beautiful chapter, which describes about the glories of Bhagavatam actually, because the chapter itself says Bhagavatam answers all questions. So which means that we will get an idea about what is going to happen in the next cantos of Bhagavatam, because Canto 2 will summarize a little bit about it, about Purush Avatar, about avatars of Krishna, creation of Krishna, and particularly this chapter, chapter 10 of second canto, tells us about 10 topics. So we must have studied in the beginning of this chapter. The 10 topics are discussed. So I know that all the devotees in this group have already gone through those previous verses. Can anyone tell me what are the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam that are discussed in the Bhagavatam, so that we can recap what was discussed previously? What were the first two chapters? Anyone? Mataji's or Prabhuji? Okay, it's okay. I know everyone knows, but I'll still, we'll still say it again. So first two chapters of 10 topics, actually, not chapters, but first two topics of Bhagavatam are Sarga, Visarga, Sarga, Visarga. Then third one is Sthanam. Fourth is Poshanam. Fifth is Uti. Sixth is Manvantara. Seventh is Niro. I think it was, I forgot. It was Nirodha. Yeah, I was right. So Nirodha, and then Mukti, and the last one was Ashraya. So these are the 10 topics: Sarg, Visarg, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utti, Manvantara, Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. So if we know that these 10 topics describe everything about creation, from creation to annihilation, between and in between, what are the pastimes of Krishna and his various incarnations. So everything is described in Bhagavatam. That's why it is called as Grantharaj Bhagavatam, because it is the Raja or the king of all the scriptures, all the Puranas, because Krishna's pastimes are mentioned and all the Leelas are mentioned. His creation is mentioned. Everything is mentioned. All the glories are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we see other Vedas and other Puranas, we will get some little bit of the pastimes of Krishna, a little bit about the incarnation. We'll get to know about them. But the last three, particularly the last three, that is Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. So it will not be mentioned in any other scriptures. It's only mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. We will not find it anywhere else. So Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya will not be found in anywhere else. Just give me a second. Yes, yeah. Okay, and let's quickly go through this verse that we're going to discuss today, 2.10.4 and 5. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.4. So before reciting the verses, I would like to do some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. 2.10.4 स्थितिर्वैकुण्ठविजयः पोषणं तद् अनुग्रह मन्वन्तराणि सद्धर्म उत्तय कर्म वासनः. Translation. The right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. The impetus for activity is a desire for fruitive works. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This material world is created and maintained for some time and again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The ingredients for creation and the subordinate creator Brahma are first created by Lord Vishnu in his first and second incarnations. The first Purusha incarnation is Mahavishnu, and the second Purusha incarnation is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, from whom Brahma is created. The third Purusha avatar is the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, who lives as a super soul of everything in the universe and maintains the creation generated by Brahma. Shiva is the one of many of the sons of Brahma, and he annihilates the creation. Therefore, the original creator of Shiva is one of the many sons of Brahma, and he annihilates the creation. Therefore, the original creator of the universe is Vishnu, and he is also the maintainer of the created beings by his causeless mercy. As such, it is the duty of all conditioned souls to acknowledge the victory of the Lord and thus become pure devotees and live peacefully in this world, where miseries and dangers are always in existence. The conditioned souls who take this material creation as the place for satisfaction of the senses and thus are illusioned by the external energy of Vishnu remain again to be subjected to the laws of material nature, creation and destruction. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the beginning from the topmost planet of this universe down to the lowest planet, Patalok, all are destructible, and the conditioned souls may travel in space either by good or bad work or by modern spacecraft, but they are sure to die everywhere. Although the duration of life is different, is in different planet is different. The only means to attain eternal life is to go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no more rebirth as in the material planets. The conditioned souls, being unaware of this very simple fact because of forgetting their relationship with Lord of Vaikuntha, tries to plan out a permanent life in this material world. Being illusioned by the external energy, they thus become engaged in various types of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. This forgetfulness is so strong due to the influence of Maya that the conditioned souls do not at all want to go back to Godhead. By sense enjoyment, they become victims of birth and death repeatedly and thus spoil human lives, which are chance to for going back to Vishnu. The directive scriptures made by Manus in the different ages of millenniums are called Sadharma, good guidance for the human beings who should take advantage of all the revealed scriptures for their own interest to make life's successful termination. The creation is not false, but it is temporary manifestation, just to give chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. The desire to go back to Godhead and functions performed in that direction form the right path of work. When such a regulative path is accepted, the Lord gives all protection to his devotees by his causeless mercy, while the non-devotees risk their own activities by to bind themselves in a chain of fruitive reactions. The word Sadharma is significant in this connection. Sadharma, or duty performed for going back to Godhead and thus becoming his unalloyed devotees, is the only pious activity. All others may pretend to be pious, but actually they are not. It is for this reason that only that the Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita that one gives up all so-called religious activities and completely engage in the devotional service of the Lord to become free from all anxieties due to the dangerous life of material existence. To work situated in Sadharma, it is right direction of life. One's aim of life should be to go back home, back to Godhead, and not to be subjected to repeated births and deaths in the material world by getting good or bad bodies for temporary existence. Herein lies the intelligence of human life, and one should desire the activities of life in that way. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.5 Avataраನುಚಾರಿತಂ हरश्चाश्यानुवर्तिनां पुंसाम् ईशकथा प्रोक्ता नानाख्यानोपभ्रमितः. Translation. The science of God describes the incarnation of personality of Godhead as his different activities together with the activities of his great devotees. Purport. During the course of existence of cosmic manifestation, the chronology of history is created, recording the activities of living entities. People in general have tendency to learn the history and narrations of different men and times, but due to lack of knowledge in the science of Godhead, they are not apt to study the history of incarnation of personality of Godhead. It should always be remembered that the material creation is created for the salvation of the conditioned souls. The merciful Lord, out of his causeless mercy, descends to various planets in the material world and acts for the salvation of the conditioned souls. that makes the history of narrations worth reading. Srimad Bhagavatam offers such transcendental topics of the Lord in relationship with great respect devotees. Jai. Hare Krishna. I would like to pray to my Guru Maharaj and all the Acharyas and all the Vaishnavas so that I can speak something meaningful today in the class. Thank you. Yes, so like I was saying, the 10 topics were discussed in the beginning of this chapter. And it's very important to know that these 10 topics are related to Krishna. So we know that the cantos of Bhagavatam are 12 in number. But these 10 topics actually they start from the next canto, third to 12th canto, and the first two cantos are more like summarizing and conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami, questions and answers and all that, and there are so many stories that are narrated in the Bhagavatam. So there's another thing in Padma Puran. It is mentioned that in Padma Puran it's mentioned that that Krishna's limbs are compared to actually Bhagavatam, the cantos of Bhagavatam. So I'm sure everyone knows about that, but would anyone like to tell me about or the lotus feet of the Lord? What is it like which cantos are feet of the lotus feet of the Lord? Which cantos are the feet? So Canto 1 and 2 are the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Canto 3 and 4 are the thighs of Krishna. Canto 5th is navel of Krishna. Canto 6th and 7th is the arms of Krishna. And Canto 8, give me a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chest of Krishna, 7, 8 arms of Krishna, 9 is his throat, 10 is his face, 11 is his forehead, and 12 is his head. So this is how it is said that Srimad Bhagavatam is not just a book, but it is Krishna himself, because his various limbs are mentioned, and through these stories actually. Another thing is that it is also said that we should not jump into the 10th canto or any other canto, like 12th or 11th canto of Bhagavatam, but we should read it systematically from canto to canto. This is what Prabhupada advised us. Why? Because he wanted us to go through the gradually, not jumping into something, because we won't understand. Being a student of nursery class, we will not understand what is the syllabus of 12th year 12 or year 11 or year 10. We won't understand that. We have to go through A, B, C, D, E, and then we'll understand the higher cantos. So that's why it was said that we should know how creation happened, what was the reason for creation, who is Krishna, what are his forms, how does he involve his energy in material energy and external energy in various activities. So we should know about that, and then we should know about his previous avatars. And then we should know about the most confidential pastimes of Krishna, where he himself came in his original form, which is also mentioned in 10th canto, which is I think out of 335 chapters, most of the chapters are there in the 10th. So because that is most heavy and most transcendental and most secretive canto of Bhagavatam. So we should learn Bhagavatam in sequential, canto by canto. And in this verse, let's go to the verse again. Yeah, the translation says the right situation for living entities is to obey the law of the Lord and thus be in the perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life, and the impetus of activity is the desire for fruitive work. So also, before knowing the laws of the Lord, actually, how does Lord come about? Like, how does Lord expand? We should know about that also, which is also already mentioned in first canto, also in second canto also. So we know that Lord has also different kinds of incarnations, 6 main types of incarnations, out of which one is Purusha avatars. So out of these Purusha avatars, the first one that comes from expansion of that comes from Balaram is which is a Vishnu Tattva, is Mahavishnu. So the first one is Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is also known as Karnodu Kashaya Vishnu because he lies in the causal ocean, causal ocean, and he's actually the one who creates so many universes, and he's the one who does the creation in first place. And in the previous verse of this chapter, we read about the 16 elements that are earth, water, air, fire, and all the other sense touching and all these things. All these 16 elements were explained. So these 16 elements were created by him, Mahavishnu, and he glances over the material energy, and then he impregnates it with living entities. So he is actually the creator of the universe. And then when he breathes in and breathes out the material, the lot of universes comes out of the pores, as many pores as in his body, and they come out and they go back. And creation and annihilation also is done by him, actually. So he is the beginning, middle, and end. He's doing everything. But Mahavishnu, actually, he expands into and he enters into the universes that he creates, and then he is present there in every universe as Garbhoda Kashaya Vishnu, from whose navel comes Brahmaji. And then Brahma, obviously, we read about him in previous chapters also, that he saw the form of Lord. It was revealed to him after doing so many tapasya. He is the secondary creator, Brahma, and Mahavishnu is the first creator, because Mahavishnu created these elements and he did the primary creation, and everything was available for Brahmaji to assemble and to assemble all these elements that were created, and with the use of 3 modes of material nature, and the interaction of these 16 elements with material nature happened. And then Brahma was actually advised, and he was given the service to do the creation from what Mahavishnu already created. So Mahavishnu already created everything, and Brahma got the he got the service to do the secondary creation. So this is how Lord is. He does everything. He is the creator. He knows everything. He can do everything in 1 second, but he gives credit to his devotees. He gives credit to them. He makes them instrument, but he provides everything because he's also situated in everyone's heart as super soul. And that super soul is also known as Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, which is the next form of Mahavishnu. So out of these 3 forms, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, who's actually in every atom and every living entity in this world, and which is also known as super soul, and which sanctions our desires, and he knows everything. So sometimes people say that why bad things also he's sanctioning. Why does Krishna sanction the bad things also? Because he's a father, and he doesn't want to control us. Doesn't want to control us. He has given us free will to decide what we want to do, but he sanctions it, and he doesn't want us to go back with a baggage of desires, go back home with a baggage of desires and so many desires and anarthas in Vaikuntha. He doesn't want that. So that's why he sanctions the desires, and he let us experiment and do whatever we want to do. And but it is advisable for us to not desire for any material things, and to become pure devotees, which is, we're all in that process, and we're learning. Before becoming a pure devotee also, we have to do the regulative bhakti first. We have to do the Vaidhi bhakti, sadhana bhakti, and regulate our lives that Prabhupada has given us. Regulate our lives, follow the principles, and that's how we become at least regulated and sincere. And then eventually, and then with time, and with the mercy of Lord and Vaishnavas and Guru and Gauranga, we become purified. The dust of desires, it gets cleared off. And as we hear Bhagavatam more, as we hear Krishna Katha more, it gets clear. So these are the three forms of Vishnus: Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. So it is important to mention about them also, as it is also mentioned in the purport, that how does why should we follow the laws? That's also another question, that why should we follow the laws that Krishna created? And we also hear about Manu Samriti. So who was the first Manu, and who's Manu actually? So Manu is the father of mankind, and he is the son of Brahmaji. So Brahmaji was given this task to do creation, and Manu, being his son, Manu was given an instruction by Brahmaji to populate the world. So Manus populated the world, and then all the stories that we hear in Bhagavatam, actually will hear about Manus. How did they come, and then their children, and their lineage, and that's how the world was populated through Manus actually. It was only Narad Muni who was not asked to populate the world, but to spread the spiritual knowledge. He was not asked to populate, but Manu was asked to do that, being the child of son of Brahmaji. So first Manu was Swayambhuva Manu, and the current present day Manu is Vaivasvat Manu, who's Vaivasvat Manu, yes. And he's the 7th out of 14 Manus. The 14 Manus are there in one day of Brahma. And one day of Brahma is equivalent to 1,000 yugas, 1,000 cycles of yugas, 1,000 cycles of yugas is one day of Brahmaji. So it's quite complicated, the calculation, if we see the calculation. But to just simplify it, that Manus are the ones who are there to populate the the world, and they gave, because they knew the knowledge. They got the knowledge of scriptural knowledge based on dharma. So they had that knowledge. So they gave that knowledge. They passed on this knowledge to us, to mankind, in the form of Manu Samriti. That they also, Swayambhuva Manu, he heard it from his father, Brahmaji. And that's Manu Samriti, because he heard that. So it's our duty to follow what was given to us by Manus also. That is not different from what we are reading, because it's the same, the principles, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and they also encourage us to do bhakti. So that is what Manus gave us, and which is also mentioned in the purport. And then in Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse which is, I think, 8.16, verse 8.16, which says, Abrahma bhuvanalokaha punar avarti norjuna mam upete tu kaunteya punar janma na vidyate. So this verse of Bhagavad Gita says that from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are the places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So this verse actually proves, Krishna is telling us that don't think that if you go to a higher planet, you will have a luxurious life or it will be permanent life. No, there's just limitation. Everywhere there's limitation, from Satyalok, from Brahmalok to lower lokas like Patalok. Life is limited. It's only maybe the body will be different, it will have a longer life, duration varies, but they all have to die, starting from Brahma to the ant also, everyone has limited life. So Krishna is mentioning this because he's just telling us that it's not like you can live and enjoy here permanently. So that is why in this verse is actually telling us that there's no permanent life here. There's no permanent enjoyment in this material world, but this material world is actually given to us so that we can recognize our real position. What is our real position? How are we related to Lord, and what is our duty? That is what this life and this body is being given to us. And we being human beings, we being humans, we have the intelligence to think about Lord, to question things. Animals don't have that independence. So we should take advantage of this body and thank Lord. And if we come to this, this bhakti path also. We're very fortunate that, by someone's mercy, some Vaishnava's mercy, we got this opportunity that we're reading Prabhupada books and we're associating with devotees, we're hearing Bhagavad Katha. This is very rare. Krishna is only saying that out of, after taking many births, only very few people will come, very rare people will come and realize that I am the Supreme Lord, and they will take my shelter and they will approach a spiritual master. It's very rare to have such people. And and in this Kali Yuga, it's so easy to go back to Godhead by just chanting the Mahamantra and following the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should follow the laws and take advantage of the scriptures that has been given to us. That is what actually this verse is about. And Krishna is repeatedly telling us that that this is not the place for you, because I created this place. So our desire should be not to stay here permanently. Most of the times what happens, we come and we think that we'll just do this and we'll go back. We'll do some, experiment and we'll go back. But it's not easy. We get entangled. We can even forget why we came here. So we should not forget, and we should take advantage of it. And we should know what our dharma is. First of all, that's very important to know what our dharma is. And we see these days so many wars and so many fights, and all these things are happening on the name of dharma, also, and also because people are not religious. They don't have any interest in spiritual life. They don't want to know anything about their existence. All they know is that there's one life, enjoy it, but they don't know what real enjoyment is. If someone is really intelligent, they will know that real enjoyment is serving the Lord, because we are the servants. Actually, we are not the real, we are not God. So God and we are different. We have the same qualities, but in quantity we are different. So for that, we have to take shelter of Bhagavatam, we have to take shelter of devotees and associate with them. And then these things are revealed to us. Krishna reveals himself. Also, in the next verse, if I go to the translation, it said that the science of God describes the incarnation of the personality of Godhead and his different activities together with the activities of his great devotees. So someone might say that, what is science of God? So science of God is not something which is related to research, audits, surveys, or we will not know about God by that. So this verse particularly tells us that science of God means knowing the God through his leelas, through his activities. So that's why this whole Bhagavatam has been written and presented to us, so that we can hear about him more and more. And the more we hear, the more we want to chant, the more we want to devote ourselves, because these 10 topics of Bhagavatam, in these 10 topics, there are also topics of sense gratification are also there in cantos like I think 5th canto and 6th canto. There are topics where devotees where there were people who got distracted. They got into the sense gratificatory process. They started having the sense gratification for many years, and then they realized that they're not going on the right path, and bhakti is the only path, and then they realize their mistake. So this is also a process. So that's why it is mentioned that that these incarnation and these stories of Lord, these leelas of Lord that I mentioned in Bhagavatam, they will purify us, because when we read about them, when we hear about them, we will come across some stories that we ourselves are going through. We are going through the similar kind of situation that we'll read in the Bhagavatam. So it will give us more actually it will confirm that yes, this place is not permanent, and even our ancestors were struggling, and they also had made mistakes, they also made offenses, they had to come back in animal form, they had to go through so many problems because of these material desires. So how to taper these, how to dovetail our desires in serving Krishna, that is what Bhagavatam can also show us through these stories. So Prabhupada in Purport says that during the course of existence of cosmic manifestation, the chronology of history is created, recording the activities of living entities. People in general have tendency to learn the history and narrations of different men and times, but due to lack of knowledge in the science of Godhead, they are not apt to study the history of incarnations or the personality of Godhead. So people want to know about the news, about the latest news, about science, how we came scientifically, because they don't believe that there was a God and this creation happened all on its own. We came from monkeys or something like that. This is the modern scientific um, evidence that we came from apes and all these species. But Bhagavatam says something else. He says that we came. This is how the creation happened. We Manus were the father of mankind, and they populated the world. So that's where we get the authentic knowledge from. Otherwise, the science these days is not teaching us what was really authentic, and it's not in line with what Krishna is telling us. So that's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that modern science can never, no matter whatever we achieve, we may go to moon artificially, but that will not, Krishna will not allow us to stay there if we don't deserve that. If we haven't achieved that, those siddhis or whatever, we can't go to a different planet based on our our scientific knowledge and the other accomplishments that we are doing these days. That's not possible. It'll take ages for us to do that. But in Bhagavatam and in scriptures, that's already mentioned. It's so easy. You don't have to do so much of research to go to some planet also. There's another way of doing that, and which is a spiritual way. So that's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that it should always be remembered that the material creation is created for the salvation of the conditioned souls. This is a very important point that we should remember time and again. And that's what we do when we read about Bhagavatam, Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and all these things, all these leelas of Lord. It reminds us that our life is meant for salvation, of going back to Godhead. We are not meant to stay here permanently. And the merciful Lord, out of his causeless mercy, descends to various planets in the material world and acts for the salvation of conditioned souls. So the Lord, in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, Lord is saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavti bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. And in 4.8, Bhagavad Gita 4.8 also, Krishna is saying, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So that's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that the merciful Lord, because of his causeless mercy, he comes, he descends in various planets, in various times and ranges, to protect his devotees, to take good souls, and to take his devotees back to Godhead, and to annihilate who are causing trouble in the world. So he comes, and we should take advantage of that. But now in Kali Yuga, he's come in the form of Bhagavatam, book Bhagavata, his names, so that we should take advantage of that. So simple process. So Srimad Bhagavatam offers such transcendental topics of the Lord in relationship with great devotees. Therefore, the topics of the devotees and the Lord are to be given respectful oral reception. So that's why we should be very respectful while reciting these verses, reciting the translation and purports also, because we are talking about the devotees of the Lord, and Lord really loves when someone glorifies his devotees more than himself. He likes it so much. He can be sold out. Krishna can be sold out just by pleasing his devotees, and pleasing his devotees. That is the only way to get Krishna and to serve him selflessly. He doesn't want our big things, big gifts or anything. He just wants our selfless devotion, selfless love for him. Yeah, so it's said that in this verse that devotees and incarnation of the Lord and his different devotees is mentioned in Bhagavatam, and that is the science of God. That is the science of God. So Bhagavatam is science of God actually. If someone asks what is Bhagavatam, what is this Puran, there are so many Purans and Vedas. Why should we read Bhagavatam? Because it's written in here in itself that it is the science of Lord, which describes about him, his personality, his pastimes, and his devotees, and how they are related, because Krishna relishes it very much. So yeah, it's worth reading them. And there was something else also that I wanted to mention. Forgot. Okay, yes. So one question I wanted to ask, because someone asked this question, is very interesting also. So someone asked a few weeks ago, I think in one of the classes, that what happens to the souls who doesn't go back to Godhead and the world annihilates? So can anyone tell me where do the souls go when the universe annihilates? Where do the souls that don't go back to Godhead, where do they go?
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
for a brilliant class. I'll try if that's okay. I think the souls who've not made it back to Godhead, they go dormant within the Mahavishnu. And when the world is reinstated by the Lord, then they become alive and they've got another chance to go back. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. Brilliantly answered. Yes, that's very interesting question and answer also, because one may think that what if I don't go back to Godhead, and what happens to other ones that don't go to? You're very right, Mataji. They go back to Mahavishnu's body, and then they're given another chance. Another chance. Then another yugas, then another cycle of yugas, and Brahmas comes, and all that happens again. But this particular time, Lord who has come, this particular time, Lord Krishna has come in his original form. That doesn't happen in all yugas actually. So this is very special. Lord Krishna has come in his original form, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us, to make it. He made it so easy for us to go back to God just by chanting, dancing, doing sankirtan, reading about him, just basically just chanting his names and dancing sankirtan. So this is sankirtan movement. Our movement is sankirtan movement. So it's so easy to go back, and this is special time when Lord Chaitanya has come. He wouldn't come in other yugas, or he may not come, and it may be difficult. It'll be difficult, but Krishna will find some way. But this is a special time when Lord Chaitanya is here. Is there any question or any reflections or thoughts? Anyone like to add something? No. Okay. Yeah, so there's one analogy that I wanted to mention. I think I forgot. I just realized that it was very nice. I heard it in one of the classes. So what happens that there was one Prabhuji was giving class, and then he was explaining about Mahavishnu and about Lord, about Krishna or Vishnu. He was explaining that how we can compare him, given an example. So he said that suppose you wanna buy a house, or you wanna build a house. Suppose you're the owner and you wanna build a house. And what will you do first? You want to build a house, or your own house. So first of all, first step would be to gather money, to collect money, to do savings and to collect money. So you get all the things ready so that you can ask someone to build it for you, maybe some worker. Yeah. So the second step would be, first is collection, and the second step is to assign someone to build that house, to recruit someone, allow someone to build that house. And if you ever want to move out, or you want, how will you destroy the house? You will need someone again. You will need a person to destroy the house also. But to maintain the house, you will not recruit anyone. You will maintain the house. So this analogy is compared to Lord Vishnu, to the Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu is just like that. So he creates, he saves, he creates all these elements, and then Brahma acts as a builder. He gives whatever money he has, whatever he's accumulated, he gives it to Brahma, and the Brahma builds the house, and then Shiva destroys it. He has to ask Shiva to destroy it. He gives that responsibility to Shiva, but he's the one who maintains it. So that's how we can explain Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, and that Brahma is the creator, we say, but he's secondary creator. Shiva is the destroyer, and Vishnu himself, Lord Vishnu himself, he maintains. He lives in the house. He saves everyone. So this was something I heard, and it really sort of stood out to me, and I wanted to share. Yeah. Other than that, there is a very beautiful Damodarashtakam. There is a verse 4 of Damodarashtakam, which relates to these two verses that we studied today. It says, Varam deva moksham na moksha vadim va na chanyam varneham vareshadapiha idam te vapurnatha gopala balam sada me manasya avirashtam kim anye. This is usually sung very beautifully, but I just said it. So it translates as, O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature as of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. So this is how our prayer should be to Krishna, that I don't want even liberation. I don't even want mukti. I just want that I should be completely immersed in your pure devotion, and all I should aim, all I should desire should be just bhakti, pure devotional service. It shouldn't be conditioned. It should be unconditional, unalloyed devotional service unto you. So yeah, this is something that we can always remind ourselves through Damodara Ashtakam also. It's fourth verse of Damodara Ashtakam. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions, please, you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we can finish.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Haribol.
Mataji. It was a really nice class. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. And forgive me for any offenses again. And thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna.
You
We'll
made it
close.
easy- You made it easy for us to understand, Mataji. Really. Thank
All
you.
glories to Prabhupada, Mataji. Thank you. So we'll close with Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very
Mataji.
much for an
Thank you.
excellent class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
everyone.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
for the
Thank you.
wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.